A guy from Indiana shows up at Leavenworth and meets one of his homeboys who's a member of the Dirty White Boys. That member of the Dirty White Boys, TC, takes a look at his new homeboy and says, man, this would be a guy that we need to pull in our gang. So he prospects him. The prospect, whose name is Train, lasts for about a month and then decides that gang life was not for him, only to go on and become a leader in a gang called the Soldiers of Aryan Culture. Hello, welcome to Convict Inc. I'm your host, Robert Rosso. If you have not subscribed to this channel, please do so. If you like this video, please push like and share it with your family, friends, neighbors, enemies, etc. Shout out to 520_29 who asked if I can pin a video about this, and I decided I've talked about this many times before on lives and videos, so I just went ahead and did it. I'm going to do a video about this again. This guy's name is, that I'm talking about, his name is Crazy Train. I get Crazy Train and Trainwreck confused because I've known several of them, but let's just call him Train. Train came to Leavenworth and met a guy named TC, or Tracy Carson. Tracy Carson was from the Indianapolis area of Indiana. He's now deceased, but when Train came, he's a big guy. I'm almost positive he had a 10-year sentence. And he was in B Upper with TC, Youngster, Rob, Danny, and a few others. These were Dirty White Boys or Dirty White Boys and Associates. And TC was instantly gravitated towards him, I should say. Train's a big guy. He had a kind of a bastion or crooked nose, kind of nasally talking from getting in fights, I do believe. But Train was a big kid. Definitely somebody, if you're in a gang, you might want to pull. However, there was other brothers that had a problem with it, felt that TC tried to prospect him too soon and didn't know enough about him. It was very quick after let me be clear about this. Usually when people are prospected or recruited to join a gang and they have to go through their trial period, it's the gang gets together and figures out if they want to prospect them, not just one person. In this case, TC just kind of did it on his own. Now, TC was a gang leader for the Dirty White Boys at Colorado. When he came to Leavenworth, he was not, but he still kind of, I think, felt that he had that leadership quality, which he did, but went against the rules. And like I said many times before, there are no rules in gang life. They make them up as they go along. And I don't care if there's a constitution, bylaws, it's all crock. Gangs, rules are made up as they go, okay? So anyway, Train. So Train is, for all intents and purposes, prospecting, sitting at the table with us or near us. I forgot, it's been many years now. About a month into his prospect, it was go time, meaning there was an incident that happened, and TC went and said it's time to go, handed him a knife, and he decided that he didn't want any part of that gang life. And decided that he didn't want to prospect anymore after all. It was, what was funny about it is that TC got a lot of blowback over this, okay? Because there was people that said, dude, you don't know this guy. What are you doing prospecting this guy so early? And then when it was time to go put in some work, which was early for a prospect, when it was time to put into work, the dude said, I don't want none of this. I don't want none. And I'm not being disrespectful to Train. I'm saying how it happened. Now let's move on. Train decides he doesn't want to hang around Dirty White Boys anymore, didn't want a part of that gang life. But he was into the drug scene. He was into the drinking and all, the little reindeer games. And an incident happened, and I'm going to correct myself for a second here. He was in B Lower. I said B Upper. I think he was in B Lower. Damn. So it's a little early for me. My brain's a little fuzzy still, but whatever. It's apple and oranges. But I do recall him being in B Lower now, to be honest, because I was in B Lower. But what happens is there was an incident over a guy that was basically a victim. So this guy was soft, and he was a mark for some. So a guy that some people would pick on or might bully or whatever. Well, come to find out, somebody went in his cell and stole his tennis shoes. Those tennis shoes ended up being found out that the person who stole them was a guy by the name of Train, the same prospect. Train then ends up in the shoe, which it wasn't the shoe, it was actually the doghouse. The doghouse is the check-in unit. But let me be clear about this, okay? So when you get in trouble at Leavenworth and go to the hole, when you get in trouble at Leavenworth for something, you go to the shoe. The people that they send to the doghouse are people that don't want to be on the compound anymore. Now, I will say this. There was one instance when the shoe was overcrowded and I got in trouble for whining my cell and they put me in the doghouse for the weekend. I did a video about this called Dope Sick in the Doghouse. And I was tortured by staff for doing some of the stuff that I did. That's a whole different incident. Train ends up in the doghouse and people didn't understand why. He didn't come out of the doghouse for a while, whatever, was eventually transferred. I'm sorry, my bad. He was eventually transferred from the doghouse to Lewisburg. Now, here's where I get involved in this whole situation. When Trainwreck landed in Lewisburg, staff do not let people out on the line immediately. They go through a process called QUAY. It's basically an interview with executive staff. So they keep you in the hole for a minute. They interview you to see if they can come out on the line. And then they send you back for a couple days and they either let you out or not. Now, one of the purposes of doing this is when new people get to prison and are put in the hole for a period of time, everybody on the compound finds out who just arrived. There's a laundry list. Guys are yelling back and forth through the windows. So people knew that Train was there. According to staff, I'm going to be very careful with my words. According to staff, who then came to me, Train did not want to come out on the compound because there was dirty white boys there, okay? Now, I said according to staff for a reason. Staff lie. I'm sure that there'll be people that'll push back and say, Train never tried to refuse the compound. This is what I know, okay? Every month, the way they did it at Lewisburg for a period of time, every month, the leaders of every group, car, or gang were forced to go sit on the bench in front of the lieutenant's office, and for 5 minutes, we were taken down to SIS, and we would have to sit there, stare at the TV, or rap about everything that's going on. The purpose of staff doing that was, it was A.W. Sneezik's idea. He wanted to make sure that everybody in the prison knew that gang leaders were talking to staff one-on-one or were in the room with staff one-on-one. Why? Because in prison, especially in USPs, you're never supposed to talk to members of staff alone. So the way they figured it was, if you take the gang leader and you force them once a month to be in an office with the intelligence service alone, SIS, then other people will see that, maybe will start doing that. If the gang did not produce a leader or a representative who would go there once a month and sit down with staff, that gang, everybody was going to be locked up and put in the special management unit, which was G Block at the time, which was the SMU program. And that was the threat. I was the leader of the gang at that time, and when I went down there, this is how it usually goes. There was a TV that was on. You can talk about nothing, you can say nothing, or you can talk, and you can talk about baseball, whatever. They wanted you alone. However, what they would do, SIS Edinger would do, is he would take that time and he'd say, okay, so-and-so's in the hole, they're coming out, because I got a problem with them. When somebody is coming out on the compound, you're always supposed to say, we got no problem, let them out. If you say to the staff, you can't let this person out, that's basically a rat move in prison, okay? Basically, that's considered snitching because you're telling the staff how to handle your problems. You're giving the staff information. They came to me and they said, I forgot Train's real name now, that he's on the compound and he doesn't want to come out because of the dirty white boys. I straight up said, and this was all honesty, we don't have any problem with them. I don't care any of that stuff that happened at Leavenworth. I want to say here also that Train has a different story about what happened. Everybody does, okay? So let's say for all intents and purposes that there are two conflicting stories on tennis shoes being stolen and why he ended up in decel house, which was a protective custody unit or the check-in unit or a unit for less desirables who wanted to be transferred out of that prison. Two conflicting stories, okay? So let's say that. I'm not here to smut anybody up. I'm here to tell the story. And 520_29, I think it was, just asked me a question, so I'm going to retell the story. While he was in the shoe, we're getting information that Train is desperately trying to find a knife, okay? So when he comes out on the compound, what he's looking for is a knife in case the dirty white boys attacked him. Why he felt we were going to attack him over the shoe incident that we had nothing to do with, I don't know. Maybe, I'm not sure, okay? I'm not sure. Enter Taz. Taz was in his mid-20s, I think probably about 25 years old, from Utah, and he was a member of the Soldiers of Aryan Culture, also known as S.A.C. Taz was the brother of one of the founders, or the founder, you guys can put in the comment section, Tin Man. Tin Man, Tin Man, Taz, and other members of S.A.C that were the originals came out of, I think, Ogden or Salt Lake area, whatever. And they were originally what I call Yo Boys. They were all members of blood gangs. They grew up on Yo MTV Raps. That was from Taz. They grew up on Yo MTV Raps. And they got into the gang cultures, and they were white guys that emulated black culture, okay, straight up. But like a lot of people do, they grew in their belief systems, and their belief system became white supremacy. So they went from black gang members or white guys in the black gang to members of or formed a gang that was about, quote, white supremacy. That's what the media will say anyway, white supremacy, white separatism, whatever, okay? This gang, in its original day, was about numbers. They were patching up people in the state of Utah that had checkered past. I once said in a video that they patched originally some sex offenders. I know of one case where a guy had a sex offense that was pretty bad, that was a member of S.A.C, but that could have happened after he was a S.A.C. There was something in a hotel room. I'm not going to get all into that. My point is, let's take the past sex offense out of the way. I know that they patched up guys that had checkered past, all right? They did it for the numbers. By the way, there's a lot of different gangs that do that. They will forgive, and you have like a rebirth period. I think that's what they're actually calling it. I got this information from two different people from Utah. One of them was Victor Bucci, who was a major rat out of Utah, but he was there in the original founding, knew a lot of information about it. And then there was another guy who was from California who was down there who knew stuff about S.A.C when they first started. But let's forget that. S.A.C became a force and is to this day. What ends up happening is they were going to bomb the Olympics. There was a plot to bomb the Olympics, and I'm being loose with facts here. And eventually they end up getting a RICO case, and a bunch of them are indicted and sent into the federal system. While they were under indictment and in the county jail or the federal holding center, whatever it was, they are put on no contact, no communication status, and in the courtroom they all bucked and tried to riot or whatever the deal was. These dudes were going hard. Listen, whatever I say about S.A.C, and there will be people that will take this different ways, this video, even in general. Whatever I say about an individual in S.A.C or whatever, these dudes went hard. I have respect for S.A.C no matter what people might think, okay? As far as prison gang stuff, all right? I got my whole different take about prison gangs, but whatever. I have respect for S.A.C for what they became, straight up. They go into the federal system. Tin Man and others ended up at Florence, Colorado. I said it last night when Tin Man first arrived. I know that he was wearing his sweatshirt backwards and some white guys kind of put him on check. But Tin Man, who I've never been around, has a mouthpiece on him. Very good one. Sold it. He sold his gang philosophy, whatever. And SAC just went boom and exploded in the federal prison system, especially out of Florence and then other places. I want to say Beaumont. I wasn't there, but okay, let's say Florence and Beaumont first. You guys that know, put it in the comment section, please. I want to get this right. And I'm just, again, if I'm being vague on some stuff, put it out there, okay? But here's what I know. Let's talk about Taz. Taz, the first day I saw him was on the basketball court, all black guys, and this kid, a pale white kid who was in the shoe for a while with tattoos from his neck down. Tall kid. We go and approach him, and one of my partners, Dusty, who was his parents' family was out of Utah. So we start talking to him, and he was like a kid to me, you know. I wasn't that much older, but he was, I don't want to say goofy, but he had a really good personality. Bubbly, I guess you would say, or whatever. But I took a liking to him. We all took a liking to this dude pretty well, for real. All right. Well, he's kind of in Lewisburg on a mission to pull recruits. All right. I mean, he was. That's what the whole purpose of SAC was, trying to spread and grow. All right. So then we can enter Crazy Train or Train. Train, as I told you, all that happened where they came to me and they said that he was. What staff told me is that he didn't want to come out because of the dirty white boys. Okay, let's just assume that that's not true. Whatever. Okay, I want to be cool about this, really. But he comes out. Train comes out. When he came out, boy, I mean, he was dripping sweat. He was really nervous when we went and approached him, and I said, dude, we've got no problem, you know. A day later, now he gets put down in J block. What's the other side of J? I block. He got put down in I block where Taz was. So they're both tall. Train's a little older than Taz, but the two fit together pretty good, actually, right? So it wasn't a day after he gets out of the hole. Here comes Taz. I'm in the hall working. At the time I was, after lunch, I did the not the red top, but I swept the hallways after lunch and mopped. Me and Willie Bobo, one of my bros, Dusty, another Mexican mafia member, not Parrot, I forgot which one. But anyway, here comes Taz with Train, and he says, Rob, did Train check in? And I look, and Train's sitting right there. And I look and I say, here's the story from what I know. And I explained to Taz that there was an incident with some tennis shoes. Tennis shoes were stolen. White guys in the unit were pissed because these tennis shoes got stolen, because this white guy was kind of soft, the one that they were stolen from. But really, there was other white guys that wanted to steal this dude's shit. So they were really mad that this guy stole his stuff. It was way more complicated. It was way more a bunch of politic BS behind it, okay? So basically, Train got down first and the other ones were pissed because they couldn't. In prison, you're not supposed to ever steal. That's called locker knocking. If you're gonna go take something from somebody, you're supposed to take it to their face. Take it in front of their face, okay? Whatever. That's white politics or prison politics. So I go ahead and explain the story as I know it, and then I said he ended up in the doghouse, and then I remember Taz looks at me and goes, so he's not a check-in, right? And basically outlined a story that left it for interpretation that he did check in. But again, I wasn't there. Maybe he ended up in the doghouse under other circumstances. Let's give him the benefit of the doubt. I don't know, okay? Here's what I do know. It was shortly thereafter that a message was received that I know from Tin Man to his little brother that said that there was somebody in Lewisburg that did something, snitched or something on the SAC members in Colorado, and that he needed to be gone. Right at the same time, the AWs in that prison switched. The AW that was there was named S.A.C, and this dude had full control over the prison, over wardens, over everybody. S.A.C was the AW after the AB DC murders of 97 and 98, and his whole existence was to change Lewisburg and make Lewisburg like this soft, big rat camp prison. I will say that Lewisburg was the softest USP I'd ever been in for a period of time. S.A.C really did do the job he wanted to do. He turned that in. There was a whole bunch of rats when I first got there. It was a very, very soft prison. You can walk with your shower shoes on in the hallway, which pissed staff members off. Different story. But anyway, so Taz puts Train down, patches him up immediately. There wasn't really a prospecting period. He got his tattoo within a couple days. There wasn't any kind of a prospect period. I know that for sure. A.W. Estrada comes in and takes the leaders of every group, brings us into the office and says, the warden's office, lines us all up and says, this is a USP. Monday through Friday, business hours, 8 to 4, whatever. Handle your business during those hours. No more than 2-on-1. Don't use any weapons. Don't do anything on the weekends. And you guys can handle your business. This is a United States penitentiary. We're not going to run it like an FCI. As soon as what Estrada did was he green lighted assaults. If we had any dirt or business to take care of that involved violence, he just gave us the green light to go. Okay? So Taz was not there because they didn't really recognize the SAC thing yet. But he got word about it, and the first assault that was done was us. The Dirty White Boys sent somebody. The following day, out on the yard, Taz and Train went and wrecked, dude. And let me wreck somebody. And let me tell you, these two kids, and they were kids to me, even if Train was just a year or two younger, these two guys, all right, did a fabulous job as far as prison violence goes. They did a fantastic job. They made a statement, all right? 100% kudos to them for what they did. They made a statement. Now, Train, from what I understand, went on to be a leader in the SAC. They have a structure. They have generals, like a military style structure that I don't know, okay? But I don't know where he rose to. But I heard that Train became a beast and went on, and I believe there was a lot of violence. I think he did SMU program or 2, whatever, and then became somebody in that gang. This is an example, like yesterday, where a dirty white boy dropout becomes a shot caller. It's the same type of idea. This was a guy who came into the feds, for whatever reason, got spooked about what was going on with the Dirty White Boys originally, and it wasn't because he didn't subscribe to the Dirty White Boys' ideals and philosophies. He just didn't want the drama that early on, and I'm not downing him for it. It is what it is, and he became something other, a presence or a significant force in a prison gang. He evolved. Some people evolved, and that was the evolution of Train. And that is what I put out there. I was factual in this video when I knew the facts. I was not, or gave people the benefit of the doubt when I'm not. So this video is what it is. So yeah, and by the way, like I've said before, Tin Man, you gotta give that dude credit in the prison gang culture, in the federal prison gang culture. Tin Man, wow. I mean, he did it. The SACs really became something and are something to this day in the feds. And you can never take that away from them, no matter what the founding was, no matter who the founders originally was. People evolve, people grow, people become. People become. You know what I mean? Train became. So that's it. Take care. Have a great day. I still got to do a story about me getting chin checked. Take care.